Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Saulo. I am the Director, Alumni Office, Strathmore University. We are happy to host you this afternoon. We want to thank you for taking time to be with us this afternoon in this webinar, in which we have one of our alumni, Susan Nyakiamo, who will be speaking to us about personal finance. Susan had been working as an accountant and now is a consultant in this area of personal finance. So she will be speaking to us today about the topic, which is on personal finance hacks, how to gain control of our money. We want to begin right away, and I would like now to invite Susan to introduce herself and then take us through this session. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon to you all. And I'm happy to be with you and glad that you've taken the time to come and listen to me talk about personal finance. I talk a lot, so at some point Eric will have to stop me. But it happens to be a subject that I'm very, very passionate about. As Eric said, I've been an accountant, and I have worked with the Medicine Sans Frontiers, MSF, and I've been to various parts of the world, and it still shocks me that people earn money, but they don't know how to spend it. Or rather, well, everybody assumes that everybody knows how to spend. The whole of our lives, we are being trained on how to make money. You go to nursery school to learn how to read and write. Then you go to primary school so that you can learn, you can increase this knowledge. Then you go to high school, then you go to university or you go to college. All this is gearing you towards how you're going to make money. And then you get employed, and now you have money. And nobody tells you how to spend it. Then you start wondering, how comes there's some people who get rich and there are other people who, you know, you're forever broke all the time. And so for me, I thought it was obvious to everyone, because yes, sometimes I get broke, but I know when I'm going to be broke. And I put measures in place to make sure that I don't get so broke. But I assumed that everybody has an idea of how to spend their money, how to save, how to invest, until a friend of mine told me, no, it's not obvious, it's not as obvious as you think it is. So now that is what pushed me to start giving talks. And I also blog on www.suzima.com, and I write, and I have an email list for which I normally send out emails on a daily basis. So that one is free. But of course, if you want to have something one-on-one with me so that I can teach you, you know, like the same way you were taught in kindergarten, then I'll ask you to pay. Now, for today, I'm not asking anybody to pay because this is my CSR for the year. I don't know whether you know what CSR means. It's corporate social responsibility. So it's something that you do. How many of you, by a show of hands, how many people understand Swahili? So that I can know whether to mix English and Swahili. 2, 5, 6. Okay. Ni kama kurudisha mkono. Because you see, as they say, you don't, there are very many people who make sure that you grow up. It's not just your parents. They're your teachers, very many people, the people who clean the places that you are going to spend time in. you cannot return, huwezi ukarudisha mkono to everyone. So you say thank you to the whole society. So this is my way of saying thank you to Strathmore, because I got a very good education from there. Okay, so now let us go to my favorite topic, money. See, that's why I did I did Bachelor of Commerce. But that was not actually my story. My story is very convoluted, but let me try and summarize it a bit. When I cleared Form 4, I was determined to be a doctor. Why? Because that was the hardest and most prestigious course that I could think of at that time. And so those 2 years before going to campus, I decided, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll do a very simple course so that I don't exhaust my brain. And then when I'm called to go do medicine, I'll still have, my brain will be fresh, it won't be exhausted. So I did secretarial in Kianda College, which was at that time was in Strathmore, but it was separate. That time Strathmore was Strathmore College and Kianda was Kianda College for secretarial. So I did 2 years of secretarial studies. And then after that, I was called to Moi University to go and study medicine. Now, it's one thing to watch programs in TV, you watch ER and it looks so nice and doctors are so, saving lives and blah, blah, blah. It's totally different when you actually go to study and you go to hospital and you see people looking at you and they're like, daktari nisaidie, and you're like, I have no idea, I don't know what to do. Yeah, it turns out I have a very low threshold for suffering. So when the patients are crying, even me, I feel like crying. And you see, there's no way you can have your doctor crying. So yeah, after 2 years, I dropped out. And at that time, Strathmore had become a university, and I joined Strathmore University and I did Bachelor of Commerce. At least in BCom, when you're working as an accountant, pesa ikipotea, if you lose some money, you can always replace it, they can deduct it from your salary, you can always get it back. You see, as a doctor, if you make a mistake, people die and you can never return life. So actually I found my passion in finance and I love it. I just love it when, you look at a balance sheet and all the numbers are just balancing, and yeah, that is heaven for me. You look, the debits and the credits are all balanced. I'm a happy person. So in the end, I actually found my calling. And in the midst of that calling, I have found a specialization of something that I actually like. And this is personal finance. And that is what has brought us here today. So for example, how many of you are students? Hands up. Just click on the hands up icon. How many of you are students? Ooh, over 10. Nice. Cool. Nice. You're many. Now, when you're a student, you assume that mini mtoto. But no, you're not a child. Your work is to study. Do you doubt me? Try and remember when you had just cleared Form 4, the period before you went to campus. How much pocket money were your parents giving you? Or even right now? Right now, there's no going to class, going to school. So you're at home. How much pocket money is your parents giving you? Nothing. Why? Because you're not working. When you were in school, when you were in high school, if you went to boarding school, or even if you went to a day school, your parents would always give you pocket money. They tell you in your fare, this one you can buy food and blah, blah, blah. But when you're at home, i.e. you're not working outside of the house, you don't get pocket money. okay, at least for me, I never got pocket money. That time between Form 4 and university, I never got pocket money. But immediately I started university, I started getting pocket money again. So I used to get pocket money when I was working. I mean, when I was studying. So pocket money used to come when I was from Form 1 to Form 4. It stopped until I went to campus. Then from first year to fourth year, I used to get pocket money. So that means your job is actually studying, going to school. And like any other job, you don't go to school, you don't get paid. You do a bad job in school, your salary gets dinged. So either you get demoted, so maybe your parents will be like, no, it seems like I'm giving you too much money, so sasa nakwaribu, so maybe we should stop the pocket money and things like that. So yeah, for you, when I talk about work or earning money, this is how you earn money: by going to school, studying, and passing your exam. For the rest of us, the alumni and the other people who are working, your job is actually on your job description. So you actually have to do something, impress your boss, then you get a salary. So you cannot tell me that, no, mini mtoto, sina job, so I can't earn money. No, you earn money by studying. Yeah, so we all know how to make money, right? Now, if you are working and you want more money, what do? You work extra hours, you get more assignments, and it's the same for studying. If you want extra cash, what do? You go and talk to your boss. In this case, that will be your parents, and say, okay, I want to buy a phone, or I want to buy a new pair of sneakers. And your parents tell you, what happened to the old ones? You're old enough right now, so there's no way you're telling me that your feet grew. So you say, okay, fine, I'll work for it. And your parents will be like, okay, this is interesting. Then now you say, okay, fine, I'll do this and I'll do the other and I'll do the other. And then you negotiate and you get maybe an allowance, an extra allowance. So if you just sit down, you're forever on your tablet or your phone and you're playing video games and things like that, yeah, you're not getting any money. You'll ask your parents for money and they'll be like, no, there's Wi-Fi in the house. I'm not giving you money. What do you need money for? You can call people on WhatsApp. Then I have one or two people who will tell me, but I'm under 18, I'm not allowed to work. Now, you can get creative with all those gadgets that you have. Or, you can either have excuses, or you can actually sit down, figure out where people are feeling pain, and then you solve it. Because people pay people who solve their issues. For instance, if you're going to Strathmore, there's a matatu that comes from Madaraka roundabout to Strathmore University Gate. You could actually walk that distance in less than 20 minutes. But because you don't want to walk, you are willing to pay. We used to pay 10 bob, but now it depends, because I have paid 20, sometimes I pay 30, and I'm like, really? Just that short distance? But for sure, you are willing to pay this 20 bob or this 30 bob to the matatu, because they're making your life easy by making sure you get to school very, very early and not sweaty. So you're willing to part with that money. I have very many nieces and nephews. And I remember during the first weeks of the shutdown, they would tell me, I'm bored. And I'd wonder, how can you be bored? I mean, I love being home. It's just such a good excuse to actually not have to go to the office and, work from the office. At least at home, I can work in my pajamas, things like that. But in reality, they just hadn't been creative. So as the days turned to weeks and into months, they decided they want to plant stuff. So they were digging all over their grandmother's backyard and front yard and planting different things and getting excited when we were eating the sukumas from the shamba. And it got me thinking, how many of you are at home thinking, I'm bored, there's nothing to do? I'll give you examples of ideas that I saw on the internet. There's some little boy who designed and used a 3D printer to print mask holders. He was a very little boy, under 10. And so the 3D printer, of course, he was being helped by the parents, but the idea was he would print all these mask holders. So they're just like a stick like this with the spokes hanging out. Then you put it at the back of your head so that when you put on the mask, you don't have to put it on your ear because it's going to, after some time, it gets painful. So you put it on those spikes. And the parents were donating this to health workers. And I was like, isn't this one of those bored children? Why is he not complaining about how bored he is? He's doing something. Then there's another one. This one, I think, was in the UK. He was idling in the house. I'm not sure that it's either in the UK or the US. He was just idling in the house. And he decided, okay, fine, since it seems Corona is an international thing, maybe I should have a site that is going to help people to track how the Corona is spreading, how the recoveries are going. And he sat down and developed the site. And in less than a week, people were actually using his site. And a company approached him and offered him $8 million so that they could advertise on his site. And I think he was raised very well, because if you offer me $8 million right now, I'd say yes. But he said no. And I remember watching the interview, and the young man said, I'm too young. I don't want to, because he's under 20. And he said, I don't want to be a millionaire before I am 20. I'm too young. I still need to finish school. And so, of course, now when you're going to look for a job and you have that as your history, that you actually printed 3D mask holders and you donated when you were below 10, or that you came up with a website that was tracking Corona, and right now it's actually being used all over the world. I mean, that you go to an IT company, and of course they'll want to listen to you. This is called initiative. You don't sit down and say, I'm bored, and you wait for people to entertain you. Why don't you be the entertainer? Yeah. So you cannot say that you don't have a talent, or there's nothing you can do. Just sit down, take a look around, try and figure out what is bothering people. What are your friends complaining about? So maybe your friends are saying they're bored. So yeah, maybe you can have a list of all the nice movies that you've watched, you share with them, all the good movies you've watched, all the games that you think are going to entertain your friends, and you actually get to do something. And the more you do it, the better you become at it, and the more creative you get. And then you get feedback from your friends. They say, this was a good one. No, this one was a boring one. And then you know, okay, fine, this one I can remove, this one I can keep. Or you can, in the house, as my nieces and nephews did. And in fact, they had me buy them chicken. Now, apart from planting vegetables and tomatoes and whatever, suddenly they're keeping chicken in Nairobi, in their grandmother's backyard. So, and in fact, the chicken are they're almost fully grown. So by Christmas, if you want chicken, for sure, my nieces and nephews will be selling you chickens for Christmas. And this is not something it's not something that you go to your parents and say, I need 20,000 capital to start a business. No, you can start from zero. These are just kids. They were bored, so they decided to go and dig in the garden. And yeah, they asked for seeds. They were given seeds. You know, of course, when you start something, you will find people who want to encourage you, people who want you to do better and better, and especially your parents. Yes, they want you to. You're disturbing me by telling me I'm bored 24 hours. So yes, you find something to do, they will for sure will support you. So that is how to make money. Do not assume that I will always get money from my parents. You know, you just go walk up to your parents and say, yeah, I need a new what? I need to go to the salon. I need to go to the barber shop or something. Not necessarily. Your parents will not always have the money to give you, or they might not always be willing to give you that money. So you have to be creative. You have to think of ways that you can actually make money or give a service to others. You don't sit down and say, I want to make profit. That way, you won't make money like that. When you start thinking, I want to give a service to others, then people will look and they'll be like, okay. Think of the mama bogas. They normally sell vegetables. But then they looked and they saw, okay, maybe I can sell vegetables. I can cut the vegetables and more people will come to me. And sure enough, now if you walk on the streets of Nairobi, you'll find even potatoes have been peeled and carrots and minji all mixed together, ready. You just buy it and you go to the house and cook. It's not that this person is being a slave to the people who he's serving. No, it's just being creative and trying to differentiate your products. And it's not a big thing that they're doing, because if you're selling vegetables in the market, what are you doing when you don't have a customer? You just sit down. So instead of just sitting, you can peel potatoes, you can cut the vegetables, you can keep yourself busy. And the same applies. Go to your house, your parents' house or your guardian's house, and try and figure out what is it that needs to be done. And then you do it as a service. Like, for example, you can wash windows, and maybe the neighbors will see you washing windows and say, by the way, you can come and wash my windows as well. And then you charge them. That's free marketing. You haven't paid KTN to advertise your business. No, people just saw you doing something, and then they ask you to come and do it for them. So think along those lines. You have to make sure that you make money before you spend it. So that's number one. You need to earn. Number two, most of us, after we have earned, we burn the money. I remember when I was in high school, at the end of the term, you make sure that you have spent all your pocket money, because of course, you know, at the end of the holidays, you're going to be given more. So you want to spend it all. That is called burning money, because you receive it and you use it without thinking. You have not planned for it. You have not done anything, but no, that is the wrong way to handle money. What you're supposed to do, instead of burning money, you're supposed to spend it. And how do you spend money? Number one, you budget before you get the money. Has it ever occurred to you that you get money, you use it, and then afterwards you start asking, by the way, nilifanya nini na hiyo do? I never bought what I had intended to buy with that money. And why is that? Because you never budgeted for it. There's a bit of, I call it a bit of madness, you know, temporary insanity. When you have money in your hand, you feel like, you know, you can do anything and be anything. At that point in time, you don't want to eat the normal food, you want to eat special. I'll tell you a short story about my my colleagues and I when I was in Moi University. At that point in time, I don't know whether help gives loans to private universities now, right? But at that time, it was only to public university students. And at the beginning of the semester, nobody would go to eat in the mess. So that the mess was the canteen, the university canteen. Why? Because in the mess, you used to be served ugali, sukuma, chapo, rice. So if you're going to the mess, you're going to eat meat and chapo and rice. But otherwise, everyone preferred to go and eat outside. So you go to the canteens outside, or you go to the restaurants in town. And then after the first week, by the second week, everyone goes back to the canteen. And you would go there and you would queue, because the queue was so long. You would queue for so long, and sometimes you get to the front and you're told chakula imeisha. And there was this joker who used to say, I need to reduce this money to manageable levels. Yeah, the loan that I have received is burning a hole in my pocket. So I have to reduce, because I'm used to having only 1,000 shillings to survive a whole week. Having more than 1,000 is really difficult. So I need to spend it and reduce it to manageable levels. I mean, it's not his fault, because more or less, that's how our parents spend money. How many of you have, when at the end of the month, that's when you eat meat, you eat pizza, you eat all these fancy stuff. And then at the rest of the month, you just eat kawaida things, ugali, sukuma, At least that used to happen in our house. So when this gentleman used to say, I need to reduce my money to manageable levels, I thoroughly understood him. So what do you think will happen to that guy when he starts working? On payday, he will receive his money and he will be saying, I need to reduce my money to manageable levels. So on payday, at the end of the month, you will notice most people, the bars are full, the restaurants are full, everybody is out in their car, so there's crazy traffic jam. And then after 1-2 weeks, everything goes back to normal. Is that the kind of life you want to live? Show of hands. Is that the kind of life you want to live? Because actually it's your choice. You can decide that this is how you want to live, or you can decide you want life to be different. So for instance, you and I both earn 10,000 per month, for example. You decide at the end of the month, you're going to buy 1 kilo of meat and you're going to eat it. I, on the other hand, decide I'll buy a 1/4 kilo of meat and I will eat it every weekend. At the end of the day, we have all eaten 1 kilo of meat. But I have stretched my enjoyment, because I really love meat. I've stretched my enjoyment over time. It's the same with money. You can either decide, once I get the money, I will spend it all. After all, you only live once, right? So I will spend it all now. And then God knows how we are going to survive for the rest of our lives. Alternatively, you can say, I will plan to use the money evenly I'll spread it evenly throughout the month or throughout the year. So it's a choice that you have to make for yourself. So do you want to eat everything now, or do you want to have food on a daily basis? Yeah. Now that is spending money. That way you're not burning money. Now, another way to spend money that I keep insisting, and I make sure I always say, I always insist that you do, is give back to your parents. Your parents, you have no idea how much they have suffered or what they've gone through to get you to where you are. So make sure you always give back to your parents. So yeah, of course you'll say, but I have a lot. I only have a little money. I don't earn a lot. But you can't be so poor that you cannot send 100 bob credit to your father or to your mother's phone every month. Even if you're a student, what happens? Maybe you go out on a hike, or you go for a tour somewhere. you don't have money, okay, we understand, but you have to give back to your parents. Maybe pick up flowers from the hill, wherever you've gone, and bring them back home to your parents. They'll appreciate. You doubt me? Let me tell you a story about my dad. When my eldest brother got a job, his first job, his salary, he bought my dad a vest, a white vest. No, actually, sorry, it was a t-shirt. It was a white t-shirt. And my dad treasured that t-shirt very, very much. So yeah, he used to put it on like every day. And what happens when you put on something every day? It gets torn, it gets old. When my parents had retired, my mom noticed that my dad, every evening, he'd take a shower, then he'd put on this very old white t-shirt. You know, it was so old that, you know, that the neck of the t-shirt, it had detached from the body of the t-shirt. Then it had holes in the armpit, on the stomach, and it was just looking crazy. So the next time my mom was doing the laundry, she decided, no, this is an embarrassment. How can my husband be walking around in a t-shirt that's torn? So she went, she bought my dad a number of white t-shirts, because it seems like this old man likes white t-shirts. And to make sure that my father doesn't put on this torn t-shirt again, she took the torn t-shirt and made it a duster. And she waited. And my dad took his shower as usual in the evening, and he starts looking for his torn white t-shirt. And my mom says, no, it's a duster now. And my dad said, he was so sad, very upset. And he says, that was a gift from my son, from his first salary. And he kept quiet. Well, my mom went, took that t-shirt, a kekajik, omo, whatever, washed it, and returned it to its rightful owner, and said she was sorry. But she was saying, but you see, it's torn. And my dad would say, but it is from my son, you know? So he really valued that. It's not what you give, it's the fact that you're giving. So however old that t-shirt was, my dad never parted from that t-shirt. He loved it that much. So make sure, however little, your parents are always in your budget, always. The other person you should never forget is God. You know, we breathe air for free and we live for free. We have no idea how we sleep, how we grow, how our systems work, but they somehow work. Give to God. Whether you're going to give sadaka, whether it is tithe, whether it is supporting a charity, it doesn't matter. Give to God. So give to your parents, give to God, and then whatever remains, now that is what we have to play with. Number one, you need to save. And people always say, it's so hard, the bank is so far. Okay, now I'm going to get very practical. Number one, most of us have Safaricom. So because we have Safaricom, we have M-Pesa. Go to M-Pesa, loans and savings, and then go to, what do they call it? I think it's called not fixed deposit. Well, it acts like a fixed deposit account, but you go M-Pesa, loans and savings, M-Shwari, then you go to lock savings account. So in lock savings account, open a lock savings account, have a goal. Maybe you can say you want to save for 1 month or something like that. And you can open that account with 1 shilling like this, 1 shilling, and you'll have an account. So you don't have to walk to the bank. You don't have to open an account. You don't have to do anything. It's just you and your phone. And yeah, people say, no, but I forget sometimes. You can save on a daily basis. How? What's the day today? Today is 10. So on a day like today, you save 10 bob. Tomorrow is 11. Save 11 bob. After 1 month, you'll have saved like 500 bob, because on the first you save 1 bob. On the second, you save 2. On the third, you save 3. And by the end of the month, you'll have saved 500 shillings. Can you imagine if you're saving 500 shillings every day? By 1 year, what will you have done? That's like, what, 6K in 1 year? And that is so simple. Another alternative, another way of saving is you can save 1 shilling today, then tomorrow you just times 2. On the third day, you times 2. So day 1, 1 shilling. Day 2, 2 bob. Day 3 times 2, 4 bob. Day 4 times 2, 8 bob. Go and continue like that and like that. You will get to a point, you will not be able to keep up, because as you keep doubling and doubling the amount every time, it gets to a point where you get to 1 million. In actually 27 days, you will get to 1 million. And it's such a simple way of saving. So the first homework I'd like to give you is get yourself a piggy bank. You don't have to go and buy one, go to the supermarket and buy and just go to the kitchen or in your bedroom, get a what is it called? A tin, an empty tin. Your blue band, your jam, your mafuta, and drop in coins. So for instance, there's someone who, but this is somebody who works. He never spends coins. So what he does, he will pay the fare and everything. And at the end of the day, whatever coins he has in his pockets, he puts in the piggy bank. At the end of the month, he takes all the coins, deposits them in his savings account. So all the only money he spends is notes. And that's how he saves. So if you really want to do it, there are very, very many ways that you can actually use to trick yourself to be able to start saving. So these are now, this is all part of spending. Because now we started with 10,000, right? So we said I earn 10,000, you earn 10,000. You can develop a formula for how you spend your money. The simplest one is one that I read from one of these old people. Well, old people, older than me, because I'm sure most of you think I'm an old person. So what he said was 10% you save, 10% you invest, 10% you give to God, and the remaining 70% is what you use. That is what is available to you. That is where you're going to remove the money for buying things for your parents. And by the way, if you're creative, you can draw pictures for your parents, you can draw portraits, you can draw flowers, you can paint, you can sing a song, you can do anything. You do not have to spend money. Well, I know there's a saying that says spend money to make money, but when it comes to giving back to your parents, you do not have to spend anything at all. So this 70%, one of the things you're going to do is save. You determine how much you want to save. Sorry, we've already saved and invested. So we are spending on food. That's top on the list. We are spending on transport. We are spending on rent. And in case you have any loans, this is where you're going to get the money for paying loans. What else? What have I forgotten that you normally spend money on? We have clothes. Incidentally, do you have to buy clothes every month? Not necessarily. Fare, yes, transportation. You don't have to buy clothes every month. So you can save. For instance, maybe you might want to buy a suit that you will use to go for interviews and things like that. Fare for girl child. Oh goodness, no. That one I refuse. That one I refuse. But yes, you will. So if for example, if your money is not enough, then you can save 100 shillings every single month until it gets to enough that you can actually buy whatever outfit you want to buy. So you don't have to spend, yes, entertainment, that I had forgotten. You do not have to spend all your money all at once. You have to make sure you also spend money on entertainment. Yeah. I had a colleague who used to call this kupigia mwili pole. Unajua, I mean, during the whole month, I have been waking up my body, I have been torturing it to wake up early, go and fight for matatus, whether it is raining or it's shining, and then come back fighting for matatus, staying in the jam. So at the end of the month, I have to tell my body, sorry. Yeah, kupigia mwili pole. So now, always make sure you have some, I call it play money. Money that you can spend on things that you want. Things that maybe people might say is irresponsible things, but they make you happy. So for example, if you like toys, for instance, yeah, you can go ahead and buy that truck. You can go and buy Legos. Yeah, I have a nephew who wants Legos. You can go and buy Legos because maybe you wanted to be an engineer, but somehow your marks are not enough. So you've ended up doing BCom in Strathmore. Yeah, go and buy Legos. You can, once you finish your first degree, you can always work towards getting your second degree in whatever it is you want to do. You can pay for yourself. So always make sure you have money for entertainment. Otherwise, you get very, very frustrated because you'll always be thinking, I am working so hard. And what do I have to show for it? So you make sure you have money for entertainment. And that does not mean you use like half your salary for entertainment. You see, that is where now people go wrong. You're like, I have to pay myself first. Yes, paying yourself is current you paying future you. Right now, you're thinking you're able to work. You're able to do overtime. You're able to work 2 or 3 jobs. I will not recommend it, but when if that is what you need to do, you're able to go to school or you're able to study while you're working, but there'll come a time when you will not be able to work. Where do you think the money is going to come from? It's going to come from your investment. It's going to come from your savings. That is what it means when you say pay yourself first. If you think that paying yourself first is taking money to go and buy yourself some beer, that's not you're not paying yourself, you're paying the bar owner. Do you see that? If you think paying yourself is going to take money and buying yourself a new pair of shoes, you're not paying yourself, you're paying the shoemaker or the shoe seller. So be very clear about what is paying yourself. So you always pay yourself first, meaning you save or you invest for your future, the future you first. Then all these other people, you can pay them later. The butcher, the candlestick maker, the hairdresser, all those people, you pay them later. But yourself, make sure you pay yourself first. Sawa sawa. Okay, so Now, this formula that I've given you, this breakdown is very basic. It's very basic. They 10% save, 10% invest, 10% God, 70% for spending. It's very, very basic. And it depends a lot on where you are in your life currently. For instance, if you have a big loan, now that Safaricom has made it so easy for all of us to get loans. You have an Mshwari loan, then there's a KCB loan, then you have Fuliza, then you have what is this other one called? Okoa Jahazi. You have Okoa Jahazi, you have Okoa bundles, you have Okoa SMSs, and now you're just full of debts. Yeah, maybe you might want, instead of saving or investing, you might want to pay off these debts first so that you clear them. And then after you've cleared, then you can be able to save, because the amount of interest you get from saving money is not the same interest that you are paying for all these loans that you're taking. So it's as if you are taking out more money than the amount that you're paying back more than you're getting, which does not make sense at all in any language in any country. So make sure you get rid of all your loans as soon as possible, and please don't get any more. So get rid of the loans so that you can start saving and investing as early as possible. Now, more or less, I think I have talked about everything that I wanted to tell you, but I still have a few more minutes. This gentleman who said that part of his budget, and by the way, this is a budget. If you think that a budget is difficult to make, I've just gone through and given you a budget. And why do you budget? Why do you save? Of course, the normal answer is in case of future problems or emergencies. But you can also save, you can also invest for things that you want, things that, like, you want to go on a holiday, you want to go to Mombasa for Christmas. Of course, you pray very hard that COVID disappears, but you can save for it as well. So you don't have to save specifically just for bad things that are coming. Because you see, when you're saving for something that is exciting to you, then you have the psyche to keep saving and saving and saving. So now that piggy bank of yours, you know, that Blue Band team, go online, look for a photo of a tropical island or a photo of Mombasa, and come and stick it on that Blue Band tin. And every time you look at that tin, you'll be saying, yeah, this is for that Mombasa trip. So every time you have money, you'll be thinking, do I spend or do I go to Mombasa, you know? And yeah, it gives you psych to continue spending, to continue saving. Now, when you're talking about in your budget, you have fare for girl child or you have fare for boy child, I am going to laugh at you very hard. Why? Because no one, including you, can earn money and spend it on someone just. As I told you at the beginning, do your parents give you money just? No, they don't. You go to school, they give you money. You don't go to school, nothing. Chakula iko kwa fridge. Gas iko. Jisot. So no one will ever give you money for nothing. And as much as you're happy getting money from a girl child, boy child, and I understand there are slay kings and slay queens as well. Do you know that money you will never be able to save or invest that money? Because if someone is giving you money, it's only going to last as long as this person needs you. So they'll give you money to buy clothes. so that when you're with them, you look as classy or as high class as they do. And the day they are tired of you, they will stop giving you money, and that's it. For example, someone gives you the keys to their car. And do you fuel that car? No. Do you pay the insurance on that car? No. What does that mean? What's the difference between you and a driver? Or if it's a house, do you pay rent in that house? No. Did you buy that house? No. So what's the difference between you and a housekeeper? So be very, very careful where you put your money and where you get your money from. It's always very, very important. And there's also a disease of trying to keep up with the Joneses. Just because someone has this, or because someone you admire, maybe a celebrity or something, has this or that phone and whatever, you want to have that. There's a video that Caroline Mutoko made, and she was sort of complaining but pitying her employees who were much younger than she was. And she said, you know, I saw one of my employees with a phone like mine. That thing cost 60,000. How did he afford that? I sign his checks. How did he afford that? And then she proceeds to say, I have never bought a phone that is more than 20,000 shillings. This is Caroline Mutoko. I think you know, she was a former radio presenter who everyone looks at and thinks is a rich person. But she said she has never bought a phone for more than 20,000 shillings. But she's always having the latest gadgets. Why? Because Samsung, Sony, Nokia would always come to her and they would give her free. They would say, here, have this tablet, have this. And wherever you go, when you're making a presentation or whatever, use our tablet. So she's actually doing marketing for them. But now you look and you're like, wow, she has the latest phone. I want one like that. I'm going to save until I get one like that. She never bought it. And she has the money to buy it. Now you, who doesn't have the money, seriously. So be very careful about how you get your money, how you spend it. And we all have our own weaknesses. So don't think that I'm perfect. No, I'm not. Once upon a time, I did a check of the things that I own. And I came to discover I have 10 handbags, 10 different handbags. That's my weakness. Seriously, I've got two hands. Even if I decided I want to carry as many handbags as possible, I mean, it will be maximum of 2, 1 on each hand. So what am I doing with 10 handbags? We all have our weaknesses. So me, it's handbags. I know someone else who has a weakness for pizza and chips. I know someone else who has a weakness for shoes. So what I decided, or the best way to get over your weaknesses, is just don't go where you know these things are going to be. There's a friend I have who has an issue with Mutumba. She cannot let it go. And you know, those people are really good marketers. I don't even know which school they go to. And they're like, Madam, Mr. Kwapa kesho. So, usipoichukua sahi, I'm sorry, tomorrow I'm not going to be here. So if you don't take it now, you'll never find it. So the person is like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. Then, and you're like, how many tops do you have? How many? And you've never put them on. So use a different route. If you know that there's that man who sells mahindi next to the bus stage, and you always, whenever you go there, you always buy mahindi from that guy. That is what? That's, how much is a piece of mahindi? Maybe 5, 10 shillings. In 1 week, that is how much? Assuming it's 10 bob, that's 70. In a month, 280. In a year, times 12. That's your budget for mahindi choma. When you think about it like that, just whenever you're you want to buy something. An important thing for you to do is try and look at it on 12 months. How much am I spending in 12 months? That will give you perspective.